Welcome back, guys. I got two things for you. What is a pixie haircut and should you get one? Let's roll the intro and let's get right into it. So first off, guys, what is a pixie? A pixie, by definition, is considered a haircut that is short on the sides, and short in the front, and short on the top. It would essentially be considered a crop, but it's basically a very short haircut. You can have different types of lengths, from short to medium to a little bit longer. But again, once you start to get into longer, you start to change that shape. So that's essentially what a pixie is. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and start this haircut. I'm going to go into should you get a pixie, and I'm going to talk about face shapes when I start cutting this. So let's get right into the actual haircut. So things to consider. First off, all right, there's hair texture, all that good stuff. This mannequin head doesn't really have that much texture, and we're going to cut this one fairly short. So the thing that I want to consider when you first do this, we want to part off this head shape. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take from this recession right through here, and we're gonna part this from top to bottom. And essentially what I just told you, a pixie has short sides and short back with essentially short front with like a little bit of a longer top. So we're gonna get rid of this hair here first. So we're gonna cut this first, then we'll cut that top portion. And the best way to do that is to find usually where that hair comes in, that recession point, and I'm just gonna come right off of that, and I'm gonna make this a round section right up here on top. All right, guys, so now that we have got this parted off, let's go ahead and start this shape. Now, I'm gonna start this on the side, and I'm gonna work my way, back to the center back, and then I'm gonna come back over here, start on one side, and then we'll work my way all the way to the back. Now, we're gonna be basically taking these sections straight out from the head, okay? Now, we want to cut this fairly close to the scalp in here. We're not gonna be doing scissor over comb or anything, but we're gonna be going in to create, we're gonna be collapsing this quite a bit at the root. So when you're working with a real live person, you can usually take that and just tuck that rest of that hair right around the ear, just like that. Now, one of the things you want to consider is that this is basically going from section to section, okay? I'm not over directing this down to the previous. I want to make sure that all of this is working straight out from the head. As you recheck your guide right through there, you can see how everything is basically coming straight out from the head, just like so. Okay, so after you get done doing the bottom portion, right, and we basically made this about a finger length, okay? So as I was like shaping, I was basically following all the way around here with about like 1 finger length all the way around. Now, the thing you have to keep in mind is that when you are doing something like this, face shape is super crucial, right? Now, if somebody has a little bit more width, if they have a round face shape, they've got a little bit more width, you wanna make sure you wanna keep this fairly close in through here and maybe build a little bit more height throughout the top. So that's one little snidbit about that. If somebody has an oval face shape, you can cut it fairly short on the top and fairly short on the sides as well, just because their face shape is a little bit more balanced. The one thing is that you saw I was point cutting through here to kind of help soften up those corners. And even if you look at it right through this front camera, you can really start to kind of see how it's really nice and collapsed around the side. Now, of course, this isn't 100% done. One thing I really like to do is, I'm not gonna like finish this 100% on the sides, but I'm gonna get pretty close before I take this down and start to work on that. I am gonna go in and I'm gonna start to kind of scissor over comb to where I'm gonna start to remove just a little bit more bulk, and I'm gonna start to soften up some of these like ends through here. Now, as I start to do this, I'm gonna put my comb in just like so. I'm gonna take my comb and my scissors, and I'm really gonna start to just kind of soften up some of these points right through here. You know, and again, like, I'm not gonna say that I am like the most perfect hair cutter at all, but I like to go in and just really soften this up through here. You know, I mean, there are people out there that can cut hair a lot better than me, but you know what? It's all good. When it comes down to it, like, my balance and what I can do to make it look good on people, that's where I excel. So I'll go in and I'll just kind of start to soften up some of that hair right through there. One of the things I really want you to see, come right over here and check this out, is you can really kind of start to see how I've been softening up this right around the hairline and then right over the ear, right? So, and you can go in and personalize this any way you really like, but I'm starting to kind of reveal a little bit where that ear is at, but I'm really softening up that corner. Because the thing you have to keep in mind is that a pixie doesn't have to be extremely blunt and hard. It can be really soft. When I think of a pixie, I think of something that's very feminine, very dainty, very sexy. You know, I mean, of course, you can make it, you can personalize it any way you really like, but you know, you want to make sure when you are cutting this, that you're cutting this to match the person's personality. It's kind of like a rebirth, right? Somebody that's looking to, you know, you can't really hide behind a lot of hair. So you want to make sure that it's extremely powerful, you know, when it comes down to the hairlines, everything about it, because again, like, they're out there. That's what's so fabulous about this. So from this specific point, I am now gonna take down this top hair and we're gonna start to work on that hair. So you see how long this is. You know what's so funny is if, like, with this, how long this is right now, this would actually be the perfect hairstyle that I had probably back in the early 90s. I was kind of a skater kid, and it was kind of like shaved underneath. Anybody that's from that era, yes, I probably wore Jenkos. Yes, I did wear Jenkos. Let's just admit it right now. This was probably the haircut, just like this. So I had a pixie underneath, and I had long skater looking hair just like this. Okay guys, so I'm gonna go about three finger lengths right through here. So I'm gonna go about that. I'm gonna leave about that much length. And I'm just gonna be following like the round of the head. All right, so now that I'm actually done cutting off the majority of the length off the top, I'm gonna go through and just really cross-check really quick, just make sure on how balanced I am. Now, as you can see, I actually left a little bit more length right in that fringe and or bang area. So the reason for that is I'm going to go in and I'm going to really cut that fringe super, super short. So she still has a little bit of length through this top area, but then this is actually like fairly short right through here. So that'll help connect those side areas. So now you can actually start to see there's some disconnection because this is a little bit long right through here, and then this is like short right through there. So we're gonna go in and we're gonna really kind of like chop and make that fringe fairly short. So I wanted to kind of keep a little bit of length right through this top area. And again, getting that to where it's not disconnected to where it really blends right through that side area. But then right through here is a little bit longer. So I'm gonna go ahead and dry this really quick. Now I'm gonna dry this with my fingers. I'm gonna use a little bit of a comb, but I'm really just going to kind of try and get it to that smoother texture. So when it comes down to doing fringe and or bangs, right? Like literally they are the same thing. Here in America, a lot of people say bangs. Here in Europe, a lot of people say fringe. They're literally the same thing. So when it comes down to doing the front area, the thing you want to keep in mind is when you are considering a face shape, right? Let's say for example, she had a very long face shape, so it was like more oblong. The thing about it is that you don't want to cut the fringe super short because it's going to make her face look a lot longer. You would essentially want to keep it a little bit longer in the fringe to kind of cut off like half of her face to where it doesn't seem like she's all forehead and then all chin, all of that. So those are things to keep in mind. Now, if you're dealing with somebody that doesn't have like their face is kind of like a little bit more squished in, you know, you could cut open a lot more fringe and it's going to kind of open up her face. So you want to make sure that this looks good. You know, it really comes down to looking at certain things. So you want to basically take away and you want to look at, you know, how balanced is their face shape, right? Again, with this mannequin head, it's very balanced. So we're going to go very short with this. Keep that in mind when you are doing this on a real person, or if you're cutting this on yourself, you know, you want to look at, you know, take all of that hair away and look at yourself. You're like, oh my gosh, am I like, you know, am I going to be all forehead if I cut it too short? So, and then you can start to kind of hold your hair or even kind of hold something there and look and see how well it looks with your face shape. So that's a really good kind of rule of thumb. So I'm keeping in mind how short this is on the side, like on these areas right through here to where we cut that short. So I knew exactly where I was going to be going before, so I want to go in and cut some of that off. So I'm going to work in two different points here, meaning that I'm going to work in the bottom half and the top half. So I went through and I'm going to make like a little bit of a zigzag right through there, and you can see that zigzag. Now I'm going to go through and I'm going to basically start by just cutting a lot of this hair off. And I just want to get a lot of this off of there. And I'm cutting with this meat of my scissor, right? I'm not going in and because I really want to remove a lot of hair right through here. And this is probably something that you're not going to pass your state boards with, right? I want irregularity. I want like chunkiness. I want things that are completely kind of uneven. I'm going to take and I'm going to kind of let that hair down right through there. Now you can really kind of start to see how this is starting to really open up that face right through there, because now you have that disconnection of some of that longer hair that's kind of falling right over the top. Now I'm going to go through and I'm just going to trim off some of these long bits a little bit, because that's going to allow us to work on this bottom portion right through here. Then what I'm going to do is, you've seen me do this in some of my other videos where I will go in and I start to kind of remove some of this top portion right through here. So if you haven't seen me do this technique before, I'm gonna go ahead and link those videos right over, boop, there. I'm using the mirror, so I'm looking at the mirror and I'm really making sure, and I'll kind of be standing right in front and I can really start to look and see how this is starting to lay. I mean, I'm really digging what's happening because again, it's, you know, having that short bit underneath, those short bits that really make it to where the hair is really gonna start to piece out because of that bulk that we took out underneath. Now, make sure you definitely do that zigzag part. It'll make it to where it's super irregular, which can be that much more fun. And again, when you're doing a pixie, the things to keep in mind, guys, is you really wanna make sure, like the pixie, like the fringe is super fun. Like that's what's gonna make the pixie like stand out. And then really how you're doing like the side area, the back, things like that. And the other really fun thing is that because pixies have such like versatility to them, and I've even seen where, and I do on people to where I'll make it and I'll keep that length a little bit longer, like right behind, and then when they go to part their hair just like that, it completely changes the shape, which can also be super fun. But if you are gonna do that, just make sure you are removing that weight right behind. So if they do decide to do that, that they can do that, and that weight is not too heavy right behind there for them to really push that hair right to the side, which can be just super fun and feminine and sexy. And then you can have a little bit of height right through this area. You know, you can have like some hair kind of sticking out over through here, and then you can have that come that angle. I mean, really at the end of the day, this is a very, very fun, powerful look. If somebody's like looking to cut their hair and they want to cut it off, again, it's a very empowering thing. So the really, really cool thing about this, guys, is that if you guys are gonna do this, keep in mind, you've got the sides, so make sure to cut these sides and the back really where you want them. You can have a little bit more length through here. You can even do it shorter. The top can be shorter, it can be a little bit longer. Okay guys, when it comes down to finishing off the hair, one of the things that I'm gonna be using is basically from Orbe. This is called Rough Luxury. This product is amazing, all right? Now it looks like this, it's a paste, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and put that right in our hands, just like so. Now we're gonna emulsify this around because you wanna keep in mind it's a really pretty thick product. We're gonna make sure that there's no absolute like residue, okay? There's no like, meaning like chunks. And I'm gonna show you here. So if somebody was to use a little bit of product in their hair and they were kind of like wanting to bring this to the side just like that, right? To show off more of the face. I think this is super powerful. I really like kind of how this is kind of happening right up through here. I might build that up just a little bit right through this area to where it kind of balances out, right? It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be like everything's sticking out. You've got like these, you know, you've got these Liberty spikes. Like we're not going for that. We're going for kind of very artistic, very just kind of lived in to where there's a lot of cool stuff happening here. I mean, again, like having some of that length right through that front area and then having some of those short bits right through there. I mean, this is super, super fun. I mean, I absolutely love it. Guys, I really, really hope you guys enjoyed this pixie. Again, I enjoyed cutting it for you. I hope you got value out of this. If you want this look and you're in the Salt Lake area, look me up. I would love to do this on you. If not, take this video, take it into your hairdresser, show them. Say, I want this haircut. Jake inspired me to do this. Just kidding. I appreciate you guys checking this out, checking out my channel. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. If you are, thank you. I appreciate that. Other than that, guys, I will see you in the next video.